If you are struggling to create a marketing strategy that can stick, a marketing strategy to support your sales process, or just feeling super overwhelmed by the volume of marketing versus the number of hours your team has to pour into your marketing every week, this video is for you. I'm Cortney Galster. I am the founder and president of Amplify Marketing. We are a digital marketing agency that works with professional service firms, financial firms, community banks, and health tech companies to create marketing that supports the sales process. So one of the number one questions I get is, what is like that base level? What is that foundational marketing that I need to do to start seeing results? And the reality is that marketing is a lot less about specific tactics. It is about specific tactics, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it's less about which tactics you choose and more about how consistently you can implement them. And so where a lot of companies fail, or where a lot of individuals fail, is they pick the right tactics, but they don't implement them the right way. They don't build that consistency with tactics that is going to allow them to actually see results. And so what I found, I created this strategy several years ago for some of the clients that we worked with, and I call it the 5-bucket strategy. It's really just about choosing 5 tactics that have been effective for other companies in your industry and focusing on implementing them really well. Staying laser focused on just 5 tactics that we know are going to have an impact on your sales process and not adding anything else to the list of tactics that you're implementing until you are confident that those are such a foundational piece of your business that you don't even have to think about them. They're just getting done. You don't ever have to add on to this. To be clear, if you're comfortable with the growth that you're seeing, you don't ever have to expand beyond these tactics. And of course, this is business and industry specific, but these are the 5 tactics that I see in combination make the biggest impact on the sales process for our clients across any industry that we serve. So these are pretty industry agnostic. They're just B2B service-based field. If your business falls into that category, this will very likely be effective for you as well. So the first is social media. That's the foundation of every strategy that we produce. 95% of the time, there is that like 5% outlier that someone's calling me. They will have to wait till after this video. So that is the number one thing. And what social media channels you choose really depends on your industry. LinkedIn is always kind of our foundational platform. LinkedIn is oftentimes underutilized when we first step in to start working with a client, and they are amazed at the visibility and brand recognition, the confidence that it builds in prospects when you have a strong LinkedIn presence, and just overall the trust factor that's built by just consistently having strong social media content go out, particularly on LinkedIn. And what's interesting is we see LinkedIn become a bigger and bigger piece of the puzzle across industries that you wouldn't expect it to be really powerful for, like real estate. But every industry that we work in has really seen the benefit of LinkedIn. It doesn't mean that other channels aren't important. Implementation is done a little bit differently on different channels. And so oftentimes what we'll say is choose one channel that you really want to be well known on and duplicate your content on the others. Make that particular channel, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is for you, make that your primary channel that you're creating content for, and keep that kind of laser focus on that channel until, again, these 5 tactics are so ingrained in your daily or weekly routine that you don't have to think about getting them done. Then look at adding another channel or differentiating your content for a different channel. The second thing is a newsletter. And everybody that I talk to is astounded when I say that that's the number 2 tactic that should be part of your foundational strategy in marketing. But it is email is still the number 1 way to reach prospects. And a newsletter is the simplest way to repurpose all of the content that you're pushing out on your LinkedIn feed or anywhere else to multi-purpose it, maximize it, get more use out of it in a way that's valuable to your prospects. So starting a newsletter is really valuable to your business because it's a easy way to start building consistency with your email outreach. The content is pretty much already created for you because you're already posting on social media and potentially doing other things. And it's expected. It's not something that's unexpected from people that already know your business. So it's a great way to keep that visibility high and to also continuously communicate the value of the service or product that you provide. Drip email campaigns are number 3. So whether you have existing prospects in your database or you're building with new prospects or new contacts as part of your audience, drip campaigns can really help you segment and prioritize different messages to different audiences. So let's think about this, like maybe you have different segments of your audience, like you've got CEOs, but you've also got IT people. They do not want to hear the same things from you. So drip campaigns are going to allow you to have a more one-to-one message go out at different times to those different audiences in a way that resonates with them. Or maybe you have a drip campaign for new contacts that you've recently connected with. You want them to get 3 valuable pieces of information over the coming 45 days. And you space those drip emails out to make sure that they're getting that content from you before you put them on your newsletter list. It could look a little different depending on the audience you're speaking to, but having those drip campaigns as part of your overarching strategy is what's going to help you not just create visibility for your brand and translate value in the products and services that you offer, but help you build a one-to-one relationship with those people that you're communicating with, because drip campaigns tend to look a little bit more personalized and one-to-one than newsletters, which are obviously a mass campaign. The 4th thing is webinars. And I honestly, last year, I was really surprised. I surprised myself with how infatuated I became with webinars. And the only reason that I kind of went down this whole rabbit hole is because they were so effective for a couple of our clients. And then we started testing them in different industries and found them to really be universally applicable and successful if they were implemented in the right way. And so let me kind of back that statement up a little bit. Webinars were super popular in the early 2010s, and then they kind of became overused, and they weren't always value add, and they weren't always super convenient. And it was before like Zoom really became a universally accepted way of communication. And so they kind of like fell off the radar of a lot of organizations. They didn't go away, but they just kind of fell off of everybody's radar, at least in the industries that we work in. And then after the pandemic started, they kind of came back, and then they really, over the last couple of years, have picked up steam. And we really saw that in a couple of different categories last year. One being with a law firm that we were working with, an HR company that we work with, and then health tech. And it was interesting to me to see the speed that at which these really started becoming more of a thing and a more of an effective way to communicate with your audience. And so knowing that that was effective, we started rolling that out in test phases with different clients in different ways. And we found that there are a few different things that can set your webinar platform apart. One is always have a value add statement. We've seen webinars perform the best when they're done in partnership with other companies, so that you can share an audience and kind of both communicate different value points about your organization. So if you have a partner program or an affiliate program or something like that, that's a great way to start building webinars. I also think that's an easier way to dip your toe in the water of webinars, because it's not just your organization trying to put on a show, but you can actually make it conversational and bring opposing points of view, or even, complementary points of view to the table to have more of a conversation approach, like a fireside chat approach, as opposed to a traditional webinar. We have not seen in very many cases, I'm not saying we haven't seen it at all, but we haven't seen those traditional webinars where everybody just throws a PowerPoint up and talks through the PowerPoint. Those have not been as effective as the fireside chat version of the webinars. Not to say that they're not in the right context, because they are. Our number one most successful webinar in the last 12 months actually did get done in that style. But that's because it was reacting to a legislative update and brought together 2 really big players in the field. The 9 next top webinars of our top 10 were all fireside chat style. So take that for what you will. There are different ways to do this, but the fireside chat style is a little easier to get into, takes a lot less preparation, and is super, super effective. So the other piece of webinars is, how are you multi-purposing that content? So it's not a one and done. We recommend recording it. We actually recommend we do a lot of pre-recorded webinars. Some are live, some are not. For clients that are a little bit more nervous about doing any kind of live video content, or where they're going to say something that they want to edit out, the pre-recorded is the best option. It's very easy to do with the right equipment. But no matter what, you should be recording your webinars and then taking that content, redistributing it as a replay, chopping it up for segments that you can use in your social, in your newsletter, etc. Make sure you're multi-purposing and maximizing content whenever you can. And then the fifth and final thing that you should have on that foundational marketing plan strategy is thought leadership content. That can come in a lot of different formats, and you should mix it up. It should not be one type of content. So maybe that's video content to complement your webinars. Maybe that's a blog post that goes out once a week or once a month. That can really look different depending on, maybe it's a podcast that you're repurposing from something else. That can look different depending on the business model and depending on your comfort level. But having thought leadership content that's going out weekly or monthly on a consistent basis is really important to building your position as a thought leader in your industry, as an industry expert. It gives you a lot of credibility when people are Googling you, thinking about working with you. So those are the 5 things that really best support the sales process on a foundational level. There are certainly outliers to that, depending on the business, depending on your experience, depending on your industry. But if you are struggling, either overwhelmed or just struggling to get something off the ground, remember that consistency is king. You have to get that consistency with the tactics that you're implementing. And oftentimes that means we need to narrow our focus so that we can just stay laser focused on a few things that we can build consistency with before adding on anything else. I hope that's helpful for you guys. If you'd like to talk a little bit more about what that would look like within your organization, feel free to reach out. My contact info is below. Have a great day.